It's Wednesday, October 21st, and I am at the Atlanta Botanical Garden, and this is the courtyard when you first walk in, and these are just some wonderful ideas on what I believe the courtyard, the plaza, the Bulldog Plaza could look like. As you can see, there's just plants and trees and stone and planters all around. Just a gorgeous little setting that's really inviting. And if you take a look, people are sitting on the ledges and just talking about how beautiful the botanical gardens are. At Chamblee High School, where you have one tree and then just this rows and rows of liriope, I just think is so unimaginative, and there's so many things you can do with the numerous sections that are at Chamblee High School. You just don't need to have grass and liriope and rose bushes. There's just so many different plants and textures and contours that you can do. Here's the entryway from just a different angle. So this is the type of inviting atmosphere and environment that I think we could do at Chamblee High School. Notice how they blend stone, texture, different height, plants, shrubs, planters, trees. The theme at the Botanical Gardens is Halloween and scarecrows. So these are the fun ideas that you could do during the different holidays around the schoolyard, or around the campus. The mission of the Atlanta Botanical Garden is to develop and maintain plant collections for display, education, research, conservation, and enjoyment. Benches, planters, understory trees, more examples of beautiful planters. Scarecrows. Here's a cute little corner, and this is the idea that some of the ideas that I just love to do. There's just every little place on the campus. There are things that you can do with plant life and art. Planters mixed in with scarecrows. The idea of having a pergola like that with shade trees and swinging benches, gosh, that would be so fun. It would be a place for students and family members just to gather and enjoy. Cool ideas for just different spaces, tiny spaces that are on the campus that you could just turn into just little retreats. They use stone, they use different plants, they use low ground covers, bushes, shrubs, flowers. They use stone structures. There's an unbelievable garden in a small area, small space. And I'm sure this Japanese maple here is probably 35 years old, 40 years old maybe. But this is what can happen if you take a space and you develop it. So this is what I envision. You're walking down, instead of just having concrete and brick and steel and crabgrass and Bermuda grass, you have this gorgeous area with shade trees and ornamentals, and every space is filled with plant life. And you have sitting areas where students can relax and talk and do homework and just have a good time together, enjoying the great outdoors. And then you have an area where folks can sit down and relax from the walk. Simple but neat use of a brick wall, textured brick wall, to separate things. There's beautiful artwork right here. There's a gate. An example of kids and families enjoying the area or sitting area. Again, if you notice, there's large shade trees than smaller understory trees. Now this area is really cool. That is, God, what a cool effect. I don't know what you call those. I need to find out. But that is super neat. So again, I'm taking a walk, and everywhere you go, there's something to enjoy. And everywhere you walk, there's something new, and it's like you're going into a new room, and there's people sitting down and enjoying themselves, and featuring a wide and changing array of vegetables, fruits, and herbs. The edible garden celebrates the joyous colors, textures, and flavors available year-round for the southern garden and table. Feast your eyes and be inspired to prepare, enjoy, and perhaps even grow some delicious, fresh, and healthy food at home. The edible garden flourishes where recently there was an asphalt parking lot. Consider the underutilized space where you live. Any sunny spot can host a container or garden yielding homegrown herbs and veggies. The bountiful harvests from this garden are used for educational programming, from school programs to weekend cooking demonstrations. What remains is donated to local community kitchens through a partnership with the Atlanta Community Food Bank. Here's an idea for the hill going down towards the North Cap Stadium. Instead of having just Bermuda grass, we can create a living garden. The Atlanta Botanical Garden just breathes life. This is called dwarf pomegranate, and you have fruit. I don't know if they're edible, but you have butterflies that are attracted to this plant. And see, against the wall, instead of having low shrubs, I believe you should have 8 to 10, 12-foot shrubs lining the walls, and perhaps even have some climbing vines that cling to the walls of the school instead of having just bare brick and concrete. And then again, stone structures can separate areas and make it look like you're walking through different rooms. You can take flat areas and raise them up with stone, and then you have garden beds and vegetable garden beds. Love this idea here. Again, lots of sitting space for people to just sit down and enjoy the garden. What a great way to come together and congregate. And you could do your homework out here, you can meet, have meetings out here. Along here, just there's lighting, so at night I bet you it's gorgeous. But all along here you have seating, and it's inviting, it's welcoming, it's soothing and relaxing. And you put up a covered structure, and then you start planting vines, and they just grow and create a covered bridge effect. This is the Dorothy Chapman Fuqua Conservatory, and just to give an idea of what's possible, consider at Chamblee this is your practice field, and then all around it you have this magnificent area of landscaping instead of just liriope and more crabgrass. There's so much that can be done in large shade trees, small ornamentals, conifers, flowers, shrubs. This is super cool over here. I think this is just really neat. It's called, this exhibit is called Out of the Forest into the Landscape. And again, we're talking about different height, textures, and varieties. And it's an experimental garden. And the thing about experimental gardens is that you can change them up and do different things. We're again on a walk path. And in different areas of Chambly, you could do different gardens, experiment, try new things. And there is use of grass. I would get rid of the Bermuda grass and put something that is more manageable than a wheatgrass. Again, use different contours in the land. If we don't have contour, then create contour. Build it up. But they use stone. That's another way of developing greater contour. Some of these boulders have to weigh more than 3-4 tons. So that's super cool. Very cool. Another thing that's really neat about being at the Botanical Garden is they mark all the plants. They identify them. And that's something that could be done at the school as well. Everything that's planted is identified so that people can learn what the different plants are, what their species name is, what the common name is. And we've made a full circle, and I am envisioning this similar to, again, the practice field, but out in front of the school and playing field. And then you have all the surrounding gorgeous landscape. You can hear the birds, you can see the butterflies, there's shade, it's inviting. There's sitting areas, lots of shade. We're in the rose garden now, and what they're doing here is they've planted all the different types of roses that flourish in the south. And there's not just one kind of rose bush, which we have, over 1,000 of the same rose bushes. And again, you have contour in the landscape, you have use of stone, you have mixed in with those rose bushes, you also have vines and ground cover and herbs. I could totally see Bulldog Plaza and the Sidewalk Cafe turned into something gorgeous like this, with the use of water, having water features, having shade trees, having planters, having artwork created by the high school students, having swings and seating and canopies and pergolas, shade trees, were just places that invite people to come to and enjoy. This area was endowed by Barbara W. and Bertram Levy. This area, again, taking the small spaces that we have and just putting plants in them instead of variety. It's so gorgeous. Here's an idea where you have low shrubs. I'm not so sure because that would have to be manicured, and I'm not totally into manicuring. I'm more into self-sustaining gardens. So some of this can be just living on its own. The shrubs have to be manicured. They would have to be cut. I'm not suggesting that. This is just the courtyard. Trees are cool. I won't read the whole thing, but there are so many benefits to having trees. They are natural, beautiful, they provide oxygen, they reduce stress, they enhance the property value, they act as an air conditioner, they save energy, and they create tons of oxygen, and that's not an exaggeration. 1 acre of forest absorbs 6 tons of carbon dioxide and puts out 4 tons of oxygen. This is enough to meet the annual needs of 18 people. Stress reducer. In laboratory research, visual exposure to settings with trees has produced significant recovery from stress within 5 minutes, as indicated by changes in blood pressure and muscle tension. Texas A&M University. These garden gates were a gift of Invesco, so you have corporate contributors, and again, just what a gorgeous area. There's incorporating artwork into the landscape, and you have walls, stone walls, so you have the contour of the landscape which you create. Use of planters. I suspect that is going to have vines growing over it someday. But we've walked into a mature forested area that also has magnolia trees, and then you have a pergola over there with vines and many, many seating areas for, in the case of Chambly High School, kids to sit and just hang out. Here's an example of a very cool seating arrangement that mixes seating with art. I'm now in the visitor center on the second floor, and that is glass artwork, and that is simply gorgeous. Beautiful soothing music in the background. Okay, the leaf art there is three-dimensional. It's not painted on, it's artwork. And it's quite large, coming off the wall. And I could see something like that on the insides of the school walls or on the exterior of the high school. I think that would be just really, really neat. And then panning here, you have that beautiful glass artwork. It's just, that's really stunning. And then over here, you have some beautiful artwork. Really, really cool there. It says Cougar Mountain Trail number 6. And the thing about this artwork is something that could also be done by the Chambly High School students and place beautiful artwork all around the campus. Here's a super cool idea for the contributors and companies and people that donate to the Chambly High School Nature Conservancy Project. What this is a mosaic, and it has all the different corporations and folks that have donated money. Robert Woodruff, Mr. and Mrs. Fuqua, Lou and Tom Glenn, Alan Harden, New Seasons, Wilbur and Hilda Glenn Family Foundation, Elizabeth and Charles Carey, the Candida Fund, Turner Broadcasting, Coca-Cola. It just goes on and on. So what a super cool way to pay tribute to everyone that has donated to the project, which would have a hopefully decades-long impact on the school and the community. And that was my trip to the Atlanta Botanical Garden on Wednesday, October 21st.